Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly build wealth, while others struggle, no matter how much they earn? The answer isn't always in how much you know about finance or the size of your paycheck. It's in how you think about money. Welcome to today's video, where we unravel the secrets of the psychology of money, a groundbreaking book by Housel that explores the powerful, often hidden, forces behind our financial decisions. This book isn't your typical guide filled with numbers, investment advice, or economic jargon. Instead, it taps into something far more crucial: your mindset. Through captivating stories and timeless lessons, the psychology of money teaches us that financial success is less about being an expert and more about understanding human behavior. It reveals how our attitudes, habits, and emotions shape our relationship with money, often leading us to make irrational decisions. Stick around as we dive into each chapter and uncover insights that will change how you think about earning, saving, and investing. Whether you're just starting your financial journey or you're looking to refine your approach, this book has something for everyone. By the end of this video, you'll not only grasp the psychology behind money, but also learn practical lessons that can help you achieve lasting financial freedom. So, if you're ready to transform your mindset and unlock the key to financial happiness, make sure to watch this video till the very end. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Also, check the description for a link to get your own copy of the book. And if you'd like to support the channel, consider joining our community by clicking the Join button below. Your support helps us bring you even more valuable content, and we're excited to have you with us. Let's dive into the fascinating world of the psychology of money. Chapter 1. No one's crazy. In the first chapter, Housel sets the stage by highlighting a fundamental truth about money. Everyone has their own unique perspective on it. The decisions we make about finances are not always based on facts, figures, or logic, but on our personal experiences. What seems crazy to one person may make perfect sense to another, depending on their financial background, upbringing, and life circumstances. Housel explains that we all approach money differently because we've lived through different financial realities. For example, someone who grew up during an economic boom may be more optimistic about investing, while someone who experienced a severe financial crisis might be more cautious. These experiences shape our attitudes toward risk, spending, saving, and investing. The key takeaway from this chapter is that financial behavior is deeply personal, and there is no universally right way to handle money. What's important is understanding that just because someone makes decisions differently than you, it doesn't mean they're irrational or crazy. It just means they've seen the world through a different financial lens. Housel uses the example of two people: one who grew up during the Great Depression and became overly frugal, and another who grew up during a period of economic prosperity and had a more relaxed attitude toward spending. Both individuals are acting rationally according to their own life experiences, yet their behaviors might seem crazy to the other person. The lesson here is empathy and understanding. When it comes to money, we are all products of our unique financial histories, and what works for one person may not work for another. This realization helps us avoid judging others' financial choices while also allowing us to reflect on our own. Chapter 2. Luck and Risk. In the second chapter, Housel explores the relationship between luck and risk, two critical concepts in finance that are often misunderstood. He argues that success in life and finance is not always a simple equation of hard work and intelligence. Luck and risk also play significant roles. Understanding this balance is crucial for making smart financial decisions. Housel illustrates this point by discussing the stories of Bill Gates and Kent Evans, two brilliant individuals who took different paths in life. Bill Gates, of course, became one of the richest men in the world, largely because of his pioneering work in technology. But Housel points out that Gates' success wasn't just due to his talent or drive. He was also extremely lucky to have access to one of the few high school computers in the 1970s, which allowed him to practice programming at a young age. Kent Evans, who was Gates' close friend and equally intelligent, died in a mountain climbing accident as a teenager, highlighting the unpredictable role of risk in life. Housel explains that while we often attribute success to personal effort, we should also acknowledge the role that random events, both good luck and bad risk play in shaping outcomes. This doesn't mean that hard work isn't important, but it's a reminder that life is full of unpredictable factors we can't control. In finance, recognizing this balance can help you make better decisions and avoid unnecessary risks. The chapter also warns against the dangers of hindsight bias. People often look at successful individuals and believe that replicating their strategies will guarantee similar outcomes. However, they overlook the unique circumstances and luck that may have contributed to those results. In the same way, we may dismiss the failures of others without understanding the risks they faced. The lesson of this chapter is twofold. 1. Be humble. Recognize that success is not always entirely within your control. You can make all the right moves and still fall victim to circumstances beyond your influence. 2. Be cautious. Understand that risk is always a factor in finance, and sometimes, no matter how well you prepare, things may not go as planned. By acknowledging the roles of luck and risk, you can approach financial decisions with more humility, flexibility, and resilience. Chapter 3. Never Enough. In this chapter, Morgan Housel emphasizes a vital lesson: knowing when to stop pursuing more. Many people fall into the trap of always wanting more, whether it's money, success, or recognition. However, this endless chase can lead to dissatisfaction, poor decisions, and even financial disaster. Housel uses the example of Rajat Gupta, a former Goldman Sachs board member who, despite his enormous wealth and success, engaged in insider trading to make even more money. This greed ultimately led to his downfall, resulting in prison time and the destruction of his reputation. Gupta's story illustrates how the desire for more, even when you already have enough, can lead to irrational and destructive behavior. The key point here is that there's a fine line between ambition and greed. It's important to have financial goals, but it's equally important to recognize when you've reached a point where chasing more is no longer necessary or healthy. People who are always striving for more often end up sacrificing their relationships, health, or happiness in the process. Housel argues that financial success should be about achieving freedom and security, not about constantly comparing yourself to others or trying to accumulate infinite wealth. He encourages readers to define what enough means for them personally and to focus on maintaining a balance between ambition and contentment. The lesson of this chapter is clear. Greed can blind you to the risks you're taking, and if you don't know when to stop, it can lead to your downfall. Understanding what's enough for you is key to avoiding this trap. Chapter 4. Confounding Compounding. In this chapter, Housel shines a spotlight on one of the most powerful, yet often misunderstood, forces in finance: compound interest. Compounding isn't just about how quickly money can grow, but how exponentially it can accumulate over time. The magic of compounding is that it builds on itself, leading to extraordinary results in the long term. Housel uses the story of Warren Buffett to illustrate the incredible power of compounding. While Buffett is widely regarded as one of the greatest investors of all time, much of his wealth comes not just from his investing skills, but from the fact that he started early and let his wealth compound over decades. The real secret to his fortune isn't just his investment strategies, but the sheer amount of time he's been in the market. More than 80 years of compounding returns. The concept of compounding is simple. Small, consistent gains over time can result in massive growth. However, many people underestimate its potential because they're too focused on immediate results. Compounding requires patience, but the longer you give it to work, the more astonishing the results become. This is why early saving and investing are so critical. Housel explains that compounding doesn't just apply to money. It can be seen in many areas of life, such as knowledge, skills, and relationships. The idea is that small, positive actions repeated consistently over time lead to exponential growth. Whether in finance or life, compounding is a force that works quietly in the background, gradually building momentum until the results become extraordinary. The takeaway here is patience. In a world that values quick results, understanding the power of compounding can help you stay committed to your long-term financial goals, knowing that the real rewards come with time. Chapter 5. Getting Wealthy versus Staying Wealthy. In this chapter, Housel distinguishes between two very different financial mindsets, getting wealthy and staying wealthy. He argues that while acquiring wealth requires a certain level of risk-taking, intelligence, and bold decisions, keeping that wealth demands an entirely different set of skills, primarily humility, caution, and the ability to avoid unnecessary risks. Housel points out that many people who get rich fail to stay rich because they don't understand the importance of preservation. The key to staying wealthy is not just about continuing to make good decisions, but also about avoiding catastrophic mistakes that could wipe out what you've built. This is where the concept of survival comes into play. Staying wealthy is largely about surviving the inevitable ups and downs of markets, economies, and life. He uses examples of famous entrepreneurs and investors who made fortunes only to lose them due to overconfidence, taking on too much risk, or failing to anticipate downturns. These stories highlight the fact that staying wealthy requires a mindset that values protection and longevity over chasing the next big win. One of the biggest challenges in staying wealthy is learning when to play it safe. Once you've accumulated wealth, the risks you take should be more calculated, as the downside of losing everything becomes much more significant. This is where humility comes in, recognizing that no one is immune to bad luck or market crashes. The main takeaway from this chapter is that building wealth is often about taking risks and seizing opportunities, but keeping wealth is about restraint, patience, and protecting what you've earned. Housel advises readers to adopt a survival mindset, always being cautious of what could go wrong and avoiding unnecessary risks that could jeopardize their financial future. Chapter 6. Tails You Win. In this chapter, Morgan Housel introduces a critical concept in investing and financial success: the power of outliers, also known as the tail events. He explains that in finance, and even in life, most of your gains often come from a few extraordinary events or decisions. These are the tails. Housel uses the example of stock market returns to explain this phenomenon. In the world of investing, a small percentage of companies, the outliers, generate the majority of the market's returns. He highlights that in many cases, it's just a few investments that make up the bulk of a portfolio's success. For instance, Warren Buffett's investment in companies like Coca-Cola or Apple have accounted for a massive portion of his wealth. The key takeaway here is that not all investments or financial decisions are equally important. You may make hundreds of investments, but a small number of those decisions will generate the majority of your returns. This is why it's important to stay in the game and not give up after a few losses, because your big wins, the tail events, could still be ahead. Housel's point isn't limited to investing. In many areas of life, a few key decisions or events often have an outsized impact on your overall success. The trick is to recognize that success often comes from persistence and being in the right place at the right time. The lesson here is to embrace the unpredictability of success and focus on staying in the game long enough for those tail events to work in your favor. A few extraordinary wins can make up for many smaller losses or failures. Chapter 7. Freedom. Housel touches on a concept that resonates deeply with many people. The ultimate goal of money should be freedom. This is not just financial freedom, but the freedom to control your time, make choices, and live life on your own terms. Housel argues that real wealth is not about owning more material things or having a higher net worth. True wealth is the ability to wake up in the morning and do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, for as long as you want. Time is the most valuable currency, and the freedom to control how you spend it is the highest form of financial success. He explains that many people mistakenly chase after money, status, or luxury, believing these things will make them happy. But what truly brings happiness and satisfaction is the freedom to shape your own life without being tied down by financial worries or the demands of others. Housel gives examples of people who earn millions but live under constant stress because they have little control over their time, and contrasts them with individuals who might earn less but have far more freedom in how they live. The latter, he argues, are often much happier and more fulfilled. The takeaway from this chapter is that financial success should be measured not just in dollars, but in the freedom it gives you. Money can buy material things, but its real power lies in the ability to buy control over your time and your life. This realization can change how you approach your financial goals, focusing more on the quality of your life rather than just the numbers in your bank account. Chapter 8. Man in the Car Paradox. In this chapter, Housel introduces an insightful paradox. People often buy expensive things like luxury cars to impress others, but those others don't actually care about the person driving the car. They care about the car itself. This is the man in the car paradox. The idea here is that people are often motivated by the desire to be admired or respected by others. They assume that owning luxury items will make others think highly of them. However, in reality, when people see someone driving an expensive car, they're not thinking about the driver at all. They're thinking about how they would feel if they owned that car. Housel explains that this paradox stems from a basic human desire for recognition and validation. We want to feel important, and we believe that material possessions can provide that status. But the truth is, people are more focused on themselves than on admiring us for our possessions. This chapter challenges the notion that spending money on luxury goods will lead to admiration or happiness. Housel suggests that, instead of spending money to impress others, we should focus on spending in ways that align with our own values and happiness. The key lesson is to avoid falling into the trap of spending for social validation. Financial decisions should be based on what truly makes you happy, not on what you think will impress others. In the end, the people you're trying to impress likely don't care as much as you think. Chapter 9. Wealth is what you don't see. In this chapter, Housel explores a critical misconception about wealth. Wealth is often invisible. What we usually perceive as wealth, expensive cars, big houses, fancy vacations, is actually spending, not wealth. True wealth is the money you don't see, the money that's saved and invested rather than spent on displays of affluence. Housel argues that many people get caught up in trying to look rich rather than actually becoming wealthy. They spend money on outward symbols of success, like luxury items, but in doing so, they often deplete the very wealth they're trying to build. Real wealth is the financial assets that you don't flaunt, the savings and investments that accumulate over time and provide long-term security. He uses the example of people who live in expensive houses and drive luxury cars, who may seem wealthy on the outside, but could actually be living paycheck to paycheck. In contrast, the truly wealthy often live modestly and have a lot of money saved or invested. This hidden wealth provides financial freedom and peace of mind. The takeaway here is that building real wealth requires a mindset shift. It's not about what you spend, but what you save. Wealth is the ability to delay gratification and prioritize long-term security over short-term pleasure. Housel encourages readers to focus on what's not seen, the savings and investments that create lasting financial stability. Chapter 10. Save Money. In this chapter, Morgan Housel emphasizes the importance of saving money, not just as a tool for future spending, but as a way to give yourself options, flexibility, and freedom. He argues that savings are not only about what you want to buy later, but more about creating a financial buffer that allows you to handle uncertainties in life. Housel explains that savings give you control over your life. When you have money saved, you're not bound by circumstances. You have the flexibility to make choices that align with your values rather than being forced to act out of financial desperation. This freedom can apply to everything from changing jobs to weathering unexpected expenses without panic. A key point in this chapter is that saving doesn't necessarily require high income or elaborate budgeting plans. What matters most is the ability to live below your means and develop the habit of saving consistently. Many people mistakenly believe that in order to save money, they need to earn more. However, Housel argues that savings come from how much you spend, not just from how much you earn. In fact, someone earning a modest income but saving diligently can accumulate more wealth over time than someone with a high income who spends extravagantly. Housel also explains that savings should be seen as an investment in your peace of mind. It gives you the confidence to handle life's unexpected twists and turns without feeling anxious or pressured. He encourages readers to adopt the mindset that saving money is a way to gain control over their future, offering a sense of security that cannot be matched by spending on short-term luxuries. The takeaway here is that saving is less about deferred gratification for future purchases and more about buying control over your life. Having money in reserve creates the opportunity to pursue your goals without the constant worry of financial limitations. Chapter 11. Reasonable, Rational. In this chapter, Housel delves into the idea that financial decisions don't always have to be perfectly rational to be effective. Instead, he argues that it's often more important to make decisions that are reasonable, meaning decisions that align with your personal goals, values, and emotional needs. Housel makes the case that money decisions are deeply personal, and what makes sense for one person might not make sense for another. A purely rational approach to finance often overlooks the emotional and psychological aspects of money, which play a huge role in how we handle our finances. For example, paying off a mortgage early might not be the most rational financial decision if you could instead invest that money and get a higher return. However, for some people, the peace of mind that comes from owning their home outright is worth more than the extra financial gain from investing. This chapter highlights the importance of recognizing that everyone's financial journey is different, and what's rational on paper may not be what's best for your personal situation. For example, investing in low-cost index funds may be rational from a purely financial standpoint, but if it causes too much anxiety or stress, it may not be the most reasonable decision for you. The point is that financial success often comes from finding a balance between what's rational and what makes you feel comfortable. If a decision helps you sleep better at night, reduces stress, or aligns with your long-term goals, it may be a better choice than a purely rational approach that ignores emotional factors. The lesson here is that reasonable decisions, those that account for both logic and emotions, are more sustainable in the long term. You're more likely to stick with a financial plan that feels right for you than one that may be rational but uncomfortable or emotionally taxing. Chapter 12. Surprise. In this chapter, Housel highlights the role of surprise and uncertainty in financial markets. He explains that the future is inherently unpredictable, and as much as people try to plan for it, surprises will always occur. No one can perfectly predict stock market crashes, economic downturns, or life-changing financial events. Housel argues that understanding and accepting the role of surprise is crucial to being a successful investor. Most people operate under the assumption that the past will repeat itself and that historical trends can predict future outcomes. However, Housel points out that the most significant financial events, like the Great Depression or the 2008 financial crisis, were surprises that no one could have accurately predicted. This chapter encourages readers to embrace the unpredictability of life and markets. Rather than trying to predict every twist and turn, it's more important to prepare for the unexpected by being flexible and resilient. Housel suggests that a better strategy than trying to forecast the future is to build a financial plan that can weather surprises and still keep you on track. The lesson here is that no matter how much you plan, life will surprise you. The key to financial success isn't predicting the future, but preparing for its unpredictability. Flexibility, diversification, and having a margin of safety in your finances are all ways to protect yourself against the inevitable surprises. Chapter 13. Room for Error. In this chapter, Housel explains the importance of leaving room for error in your financial planning. He argues that most financial strategies fail not because they're bad, but because they don't account for the fact that things rarely go exactly as planned. The world is full of uncertainties, and leaving no room for mistakes or unexpected events can lead to financial disaster. Housel gives the example of people who take on excessive leverage or overinvest in risky assets, assuming that everything will go according to their expectations. When markets or life take an unexpected turn, these individuals are often left exposed and vulnerable, with no margin for error. The key point here is that a good financial plan is not just one that works in the best-case scenario, but one that can still succeed even if things go wrong. Housel suggests that building a financial cushion or buffer into your plans, whether through savings, diversification, or conservative risk-taking, allows you to survive the inevitable bumps in the road. This concept of room for error is closely tied to the idea of humility. No one can predict the future with certainty, so the smartest approach is to assume that things will not always go as expected. By leaving room for error, you can avoid the trap of overconfidence and ensure that your financial plan can withstand unexpected challenges. The takeaway here is that resilience is more important than precision in financial planning. By leaving room for error, you increase your chances of long-term success, even when the unexpected happens. Chapter 14. You'll Change. In this chapter, Housel discusses an important but often overlooked aspect of financial planning: the fact that you as a person will change over time. He argues that many people make financial decisions based on their current preferences, assuming that they will feel the same way about money, risk, and life in the future. However, as you grow and evolve, so will your priorities and desires. Housel explains that many people lock themselves into financial plans or commitments, not realizing that their future selves may want something entirely different. For example, someone in their 20s might prioritize career advancement and high-risk investments, while their future self in their 40s or 50s may care more about stability, family, and a more conservative financial strategy. This chapter encourages readers to be flexible in their financial plans, understanding that what seems like a great decision today may not align with your future goals or values. It's important to leave room for change and to be open to adjusting your financial strategies as your life evolves. The key lesson here is that financial goals are not static. Your preferences, values, and circumstances will change, and it's important to build a financial plan that can adapt to those changes. Flexibility and self-awareness are essential to creating a financial strategy that works not just for your present self, but for your future self as well. Chapter 15. Nothing's free. In this chapter, Morgan Housel explores the idea that everything in life comes with a price, including financial success. The problem is that this price is not always obvious or immediate, making it harder to recognize. Housel emphasizes that successful investing requires a willingness to endure volatility, uncertainty, fear, and bad news. These are the costs of admission to achieving long-term wealth. However, many people are uncomfortable with this price, and as a result, they make decisions based on short-term discomfort instead of focusing on long-term rewards. For example, when the stock market is volatile and prices fluctuate wildly, many investors panic and sell their investments, fearing losses. But this volatility is the price of potential gains. Those who can accept the uncertainty and stay invested for the long haul are more likely to see significant returns. Housel compares this to paying for a product or service. You don't get to enjoy the benefits without paying the price. The key point here is that in the world of investing, nothing comes for free. The ability to tolerate discomfort and uncertainty is the price you must pay for long-term success. Rather than avoiding risk entirely, it's essential to accept that uncertainty and volatility are part of the financial journey and focus on the bigger picture. The takeaway from this chapter is that achieving financial success requires a mindset shift, recognizing that discomfort, uncertainty, and fear are the unavoidable prices of investment returns. If you're willing to pay this price, you increase your chances of achieving long-term wealth. Chapter 16. You and Me. In Chapter 16, Housel explores how different people approach money in different ways based on their own life experiences, values, and circumstances. He argues that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to financial decision-making, because everyone's financial context is unique. Housel points out that people often argue about financial strategies, whether to invest in stocks or bonds, whether to pay off debt early or invest instead. But these arguments usually miss the point. What works for one person may not work for another, because people have different goals, risk tolerances, and life situations. For example, someone who grew up during an economic depression might be far more risk-averse than someone who came of age during a booming economy. Both approaches are valid, but they are shaped by different experiences. The chapter also highlights the importance of empathy in understanding other people's financial decisions. It's easy to criticize someone for being too cautious or too risky with their money, but their behavior often stems from personal experiences that you may not understand. Housel's main point is that personal finance is personal. Your financial decisions should reflect your own values, goals, and life experiences, not the opinions of others or what's popular at the moment. What works for you may not work for someone else, and that's okay. The lesson here is to recognize the diversity of financial perspectives and accept that there is no universally right way to manage money. Understanding your own context and goals is key to making the best financial decisions for your life. Chapter 17. The Seduction of Pessimism. In this chapter, Housel examines why pessimism is so alluring, especially when it comes to financial markets and the economy. He argues that bad news is often more compelling than good news, which leads people to overestimate the likelihood of negative outcomes and underestimate long-term growth. Housel explains that humans are wired to be more sensitive to negative information than positive information. This is because, from an evolutionary standpoint, it was more important to avoid threats than to seek out rewards. As a result, pessimistic headlines or dire predictions about the economy grab our attention and make us anxious. The media often feeds into this tendency by highlighting crises, recessions, and market crashes. While these events are real, Housel argues that they are often temporary setbacks in a much larger story of long-term progress and growth. He uses historical examples to show that despite numerous market crashes, wars, and economic downturns, the overall trend has been one of growth and improvement. The key takeaway from this chapter is that while it's important to acknowledge risks and challenges, it's equally important to remember that the world, including financial markets, tends to improve over time. Succumbing to pessimism can lead to poor financial decisions, like selling investments during a downturn or avoiding opportunities altogether. Housel encourages readers to balance their natural inclination toward pessimism with a broader perspective on long-term growth. Chapter 18. When You'll Believe Anything. In Chapter 18, Housel explores the idea that in times of uncertainty, people are more likely to believe in financial narratives that promise simple answers or quick fixes, even if those narratives are not based in reality. He discusses how uncertainty can lead to a search for certainty, which can result in irrational behavior. During times of market volatility or economic instability, people often turn to financial gurus, theories, or predictions that claim to provide a clear path forward. These narratives can be seductive because they offer the illusion of control in a chaotic world. However, as Housel points out, the reality is that no one can predict the future with certainty, and many of these financial theories or predictions are based more on hope than on facts. Housel uses examples of past market bubbles, like the dot-com bubble or the housing bubble, to show how people can get caught up in irrational financial behavior. In each case, investors believed that they had found a foolproof way to make money, only to realize later that they were operating on false assumptions. The lesson from this chapter is to be cautious of financial narratives that seem too good to be true, especially during times of uncertainty. It's easy to fall for simple explanations or quick fixes, but true financial success requires accepting uncertainty and avoiding the temptation to believe in myths. Chapter 19. All Together Now. In this chapter, Housel recaps the key themes of the book and emphasizes the importance of combining the various lessons into a cohesive financial philosophy. He explains that the lessons in the psychology of money are interconnected, and when taken together, they provide a more balanced and sustainable approach to managing money. Housel reminds readers that financial success is not about mastering a single strategy or following a set of rules. It's about understanding human behavior, recognizing the psychological factors that influence financial decisions, and adopting a flexible, long-term mindset. He reiterates the importance of patience, resilience, humility, and adaptability in achieving financial well-being. This chapter serves as a call to action for readers to apply the lessons from the book in their own lives. Housel encourages readers to take a holistic approach to their financial decisions, understanding that there is no single path to success, but rather a combination of factors that contribute to long-term financial health. The The key takeaway is that personal finance is a lifelong journey, and the lessons from the psychology of money can help guide that journey by providing a deeper understanding of the relationship between money and human behavior. Chapter 20. Confessions. In the final chapter, Housel offers a series of personal confessions about his own financial journey and how he applies the lessons from the book in his own life. He reflects on the mistakes he's made, the lessons he's learned, and the financial principles that have guided him over the years. Housel's confessions are candid and relatable, as he acknowledges that even someone with a deep understanding of financial psychology is not immune to making mistakes or feeling uncertain at times. He shares personal anecdotes about how he approaches saving, investing, and spending, and how his financial philosophy has evolved over time. One of the key points Housel makes in this chapter is that financial success is not about being perfect. It's about being aware of your own biases, making reasonable decisions, and learning from your experiences. He emphasizes that everyone's financial journey is unique, and there is no one right way to manage money. The takeaway from this chapter is that financial success is about progress, not perfection. By applying the lessons from the book and being mindful of the psychological factors that influence your financial decisions, you can build a more secure and fulfilling financial future. Conclusion. As we wrap up the psychology of money, it's clear that managing money is far more than just understanding numbers and spreadsheets. At its core, it's about understanding human behavior, the emotions, biases, and mindsets that drive our decisions. Morgan Housel masterfully shows that wealth, success, and financial stability aren't just achieved through technical skills or financial knowledge, but through a keen awareness of how we think about money. From the importance of patience and resilience to the danger of overestimating risk, every chapter of this book sheds light on the subtle but powerful psychological forces that shape our financial lives. Housel teaches us that personal finance is just that, personal. Everyone's journey is different, and what works for one person may not work for another. It's not about finding a perfect formula for success. It's about understanding your own behavior, adapting to uncertainty, and focusing on long-term goals. As you reflect on the lessons from this book, remember that wealth is not just about accumulating money. It's about security, freedom, and the ability to live life on your own terms. The true power of money lies in how it allows you to control your future, not in how much of it you can accumulate. And that power starts with understanding yourself. Housel's insights emphasize that financial success is less about intelligence and more about behavior. The key is mastering your own psychology, overcoming fear, greed, impatience, and irrationality. By doing so, you'll not only make smarter financial decisions, but also build a more fulfilling and resilient life. Thanks for joining us today as we explored the fascinating lessons from the psychology of money. This book is a powerful reminder that the most important tool in achieving financial success is not your wallet, but your mindset. Whether you're just starting on your financial journey or you're already well on your way, the principles from this book offer timeless wisdom to guide your decisions. If you found these insights helpful, don't forget to like this video, share it with friends who could benefit from this knowledge, and of course, subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking book summaries. Also, be sure to check out the description for a link to purchase The Psychology of Money and dive even deeper into the world of financial psychology. Remember, the journey to financial freedom isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. Stay patient, keep learning, and master your financial mindset. We'll see you in the next video with more valuable lessons and strategies to enrich your life. Until then, thanks for watching and take care.